I'm also very excited about our next segment of content. So yesterday we talked about how we are going to do kind of mini TED Talks in each section of our programming. So we're about to move into a section on data and economic development. And as we thought about who could be our speaker, giving you some experience and perspective, we thought of Rob Sitterley, who is the president and CEO of REDI. And I've known Rob for a number of years as he worked through an economic development lens to deploy some broadband funds that his community was lucky to receive. And it's not every day that you get some broadband dollars and have a hard time figuring out who to work with. But Rob has been doing amazing work with and on behalf of his community and has some really interesting programs that I thought it would be important for you all to hear. So I'm pleased to welcome Rob Sitterley to the stage.
Good morning. All right, so I move forward how exactly? Here, maybe? No?
This thing.
Okay. Maybe.
Is there an IT person who can...
I'm an economic developer. IT is not a specialty, nor is broadband, to be honest. And I think I was literally brought here to kind of talk about an outside-the-box solution, what we did. So I run the Regional Economic Development Group in Texarkana. Texarkana is a unique community in the sense that we are split literally right down the middle by state line. So half of Texarkana is in Texas, the other half is in Arkansas. So what that really allows me is the opportunity to work with state agencies in Arkansas and state agencies in Texas. And I can use this now to move forward, maybe? All right. So, for us, broadband, we're a rural community, and I am kind of the face of rural America. Broadband had left us behind. There was really poor connectivity in our community. And the question was, how can we do it differently? I am by no means an expert. I listened to Catherine go on, and half of what she said was well over my head. But one thing that I knew that we needed to do differently was build a bridge and work with partners. Because in our community, nothing was being built. If you looked at the map, it looked like we were completely covered. And our internet service providers were doing an amazing job. But yet when you got out into the communities, nobody had broadband access. And I think probably if you're in rural America, you've experienced that as well. Metro areas, there are multiple competitors that are trying to get your business. That's just not happening in rural America. And so for us, what could we do differently? You'd look at it and just the return on investment probably wasn't there for a lot of folks. And if there was a provider, it was a monopoly. It was one provider that had jacked up the rates significantly high. So what do you do? What do you do about that? For us, we needed an expert. Again, I'm an economic developer, so I didn't have the time to dive into the bones and understand how to make it work. In fact, I couldn't do that today if you asked me. But we hired an expert. We went to Magellan Advisors in Florida and said, help us understand where we are. They came back with some startling data. I mean, we knew it was bad, but it was worse than we even anticipated. And we did this, we started right before COVID. We worked through COVID with a survey and then completed about a year into COVID. And we saw that speeds were 5 times slower than the national average. And so if your speeds are really crap, you should pay a fraction of what you would pay in a market that had high speeds. No, we paid 2.5 times more than the national average for speeds that were 5 times slower. So we needed to fix that. And we put a plan together with Magellan's help. Magellan was a true partner to us, and they said, let's look at a public-private partnership. And so what did that look like? Well, it looked like my group, the Regional Economic Development Group. We needed, obviously, an ISP. We wanted to bring in our community college, Texarkana College, and then we needed the county. So COVID had struck. County had some money. They had $6 million that they wanted to put into infrastructure. It looked a little differently when I went to the judge and said, all right, your infrastructure is not what you think it's going to be broadband. He was incredibly supportive from the start. And again, we had Magellan's numbers to lay out in front of him and say, hey, we've got a problem here. So $6 million immediately from the county. But that wasn't going to do anything for us because we wanted to build a broadband fiber backbone all around Bowie County on the Texas side. So we, again, worked with Magellan. We understood what that was going to cost. And so we then lobbied our elected state officials. And they were incredible to us. And we pictured it at how does this make sense for a state rep to help us get this money? And it was all centered around kids and learning. And so through that, we used Texarkana College and our state rep to get $5 million set aside by the state of Texas for connectivity for independent school districts and colleges and libraries. That then got us to our 11 million mark that Magellan said, hey, you're going to need to build out this fiber backbone. And for us, it was, we needed to build a backbone that touched all of the rural community. We didn't cherry pick areas that had the higher populations, the communities that were more affluent. We wanted to make sure that we touched every single rural area of the county. And so that hit every school, that hit every county barn and facility that they have. And we then structured this deal around that. We had a deal, a handshake with our internet service provider, which was 4 states fiber. 4 states met the mold that we wanted. They were a perfect fit because they're electric co-op on the Arkansas side. And again, we're able to leverage both sides of the state line. And so being in a cooperative, they provide a service roughly at cost, a little bit above cost. And for us, that felt perfect. And so we were going like gangbusters. Let's start building. Unfortunately, the CEO of 4 States Fiber left for another job in a different state. Now we had a new CEO that looked at the dollar amounts. Hey, that's not making financial sense to us. And so we had to start over. Kelty mentioned we had $11 million and no internet service provider, nobody wanted it. Again, all this federal money, all the state money was out there, and they were gobbling up areas. They looked at our 135-mile fiber backbone, and they're like, well, that touches a lot of them, rural Texas. We don't really want to be involved in it. So I called her in a panic, and I reached out to a ton of ISPs, and went through our slide deck and what our pitch was and how we were going to give them $11 million to build this. It actually was a benefit to get it out there and share with all these ISPs because now all of a sudden they knew what we were planning. It wasn't a secret anymore. Not that we were trying to keep it a secret. And so now their heads started spinning, and they're like, well, maybe we need to be a competitor. If we don't do a deal with Rob and this broadband partnership, maybe we can take advantage of it and get in some of the areas that are at least moderately populated. And so for us, that became a godsend. Now the word was out, hey, we've got 11 million. We're going to partner with somebody. Help us get the word out and compete with us. Welcome competition. I mean, that's what we want. We wanted more families connected, more homes connected, more business connected, and more options. Thankfully for us, we were able to convince our ISP, 4 States Fiber, the cooperative, to come back to the table, and we signed a deal with them kind of in the 11th hour before the county's money was going to go away. And we have built that now. We're literally at the tail end of completing it. We've lit several sections of it. And now we're seeing this flow and this competition in our community that we've never seen for broadband. But we had to do it. We had to do it differently. And for that, it helps us with everything. Economic developer, obviously, broadband is no different than a highway, an interstate. It's no different than water and sewer. And so it was one of those things I needed to compete. And so continuing to think outside the box, we're like, hey, how do we use this now new connectivity in our community to bring some additional folks here? And so REDI, Artex REDI, Regional Economic Development, Inc., that's what the REDI stands for, we developed a program called Ready, Set, Move. It's a remote recruitment of folks. So with remote employees looking to potentially move, we needed the connectivity. Otherwise, I can't go out there and chase these folks down. We've had a really great run of this new initiative. I do have 5 minutes, and I'd love to welcome some questions at the end, so I'll just kind of jump through quickly. At this point, with Ready, Set, Move, and we tailored it somewhat after Tulsa Remote. Tulsa Remote has done a wonderful job. Hundreds and hundreds of families have been moved to Tulsa at this point. We're about a year into our program. We've moved 24 households. Actually, I just got word last night we moved yet another, so already in a day that slide is outdated. So 25 households, 60 plus people. Impact of that is, annual impact is $2.4 million. And the return on investment is for every dollar that we invest. And we do some cool things. We pay them, we have a relocation fee for them, $5,000, $2,500 when you move. Either you sign a lease or you buy a home. And then after you've been there a year, you get the other $2,500. But our return on investments, for every dollar we invest, we get back $8.45. For us, it's just one of those things. It doesn't happen if we don't have connectivity in our community. And so, the one takeaway I want to leave you all with is again, we were kind of being crushed when it came to connecting folks. The game did not feel fair to us. We're a bit outmatched. We didn't have staffs that could go out and lobby and work through the program, the BEAD program. So we just did it a little differently. And I think that rural communities absolutely have that option. We're kind of a shining example of how to do it differently. And so I'll pause there for some questions if anybody has any.
Can you say a little bit more about some of the benefits to the families? I think that maybe you haven't got them connected with organizations in the community as well. So just some more of the components of the project.
Yeah, we recruit. Within the application process, we look for folks that want to be part of the community, that want to come in and make a difference, want to be involved, want to be on a board, want to help our city, want to be a city council member, want to join, a not-for-profit board. And so we spend a lot of time going through the applications, which has been staggering. We're not a huge community, but we've had over 10,000 people have applied to move to Texarkana through this program. Over 2 million people have gone online and looked at our community. And so, from that, we're getting a whole lot of attention. But we partnered with our universities, our institutions of higher learning. So, our incentive package is tipped that way. So if someone actually has a bachelor's degree and they want a master's degree, or they have a master's, they want a doctorate, they can come to Texarkana. We're the only community in the country with 2 public university systems. We have Texas A&M, Texarkana, and the University of Arkansas, Texarkana. You couple that with Texarkana College, which is #1 ranked community college in Texas. All 3 have been partners in our program, and we give them tuition breaks, 25% off, all 3, first class for free. And so for us, we're trying to get the best fit. Did I answer your question? I'd skip forward on this slide, but I think this is a framework that any community, large or small, can replicate. Partner, get out there, get the right folks around the table. Not too many. I mean, sometimes too many cooks in the kitchen really make the meal a little tough. But get the right people at the table, build it, whether it's a mega site, 1 minute. Activate it, make sure that you've got it up and running like we have with broadband, like we have with the Ready, Set, Move program. Make sure you capture the right folks, and then retain those people. We spend a lot of time, again, making sure we have the right fit, and we do that for businesses as well. But certainly we do it with the movers. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.